All right. Okay, here we go. We're going to record. So thanks for joining me this morning. And this is March 3rd, 2019. And I'm Diana Hingle, for those of you that do not know me. I started this journey with doTERRA about a little over 7 years ago, getting close to 8. And I left the dental world after 30 years of service with that off and on, and I tell you, I am truly grateful that I have found essential oils, and I'm able to help people in their health and wellness in a different way. And when I first got introduced to essential oils, I had no idea what they were. But I'm so excited and so glad and grateful that they were introduced to me, and I did some research and was like, wow, why am I not doing this as a business? And here I am 8 years later. So today I wanted to talk to you about a little oil blend called DigestZen. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this is because it was very handy for me yesterday. And then over the weekend, on Saturday, I talked to a lady who makes a lot of things with doTERRA essential oils in it. And she said something to me, and I'm like, well, why do you say that? And so that brought me to what I want to talk about for two reasons. One is, how do you be prepared? And two, it's really super important to make sure that you have the right education, and that's where I come in, because I want you to know the facts. I want you to know that, what are the do's and don'ts with the essential oils, so that you have a great understanding of how to use them, why to use them, how to be prepared and be proactive. And when it comes to using essential oils, you really have to read the label first and know what it is. And I use doTERRA for one main reason, because of the integrity of the company. And they have a certified pure therapeutic grade, or in other words, CPTG. That's a standard of quality with doTERRA. If it doesn't meet their standard of quality, 100%, 100%, we don't get it. They refuse it. Someone somewhere will pick up that essential oil from the grower or from the person that's providing that essential oil, but we will not get that. And I've heard this over and over again, and I've seen this firsthand and out of the grower's mouth that that's true fact, right? So I know that every time I purchase an essential oil from doTERRA, I know it's going to work, it's going to be consistent in its quality. The only factor in that is Mother Nature, because we can't control Mother Nature. I wish we could, because right now I think the East Coast is being hammered with snow again. So we can't control that, right? And I feel for them, because I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I love it here, because we might get snow, and we do, but it usually goes away fairly quickly. And I don't have weeks on weeks of nothing but feet worth of snow. When you have animals, it's not something that I like, because you have to be prepared for that. So when it comes to using essential oils, how do you know how to use them? And when you're reading the label of a bottle, it will tell you if you can ingest it, if you can apply it to your skin. But let's talk a little bit about that. When we smell an oil, or when we put an essential oil on our skin, when we're smelling it, it actually does go into our bodies. So if you're not supposed to put it on your skin, or you're not supposed to inhale it, or let's back up a little bit. So when we put something on our skin, it automatically goes into our bloodstream. That's with anything that we use. Whether it's a lotion with a fragrance in it, essential oils, they do soak into our skin. very quickly. But not only that, is we have an olfactory that goes directly to our brain. So when we smell something here, it attaches to the molecules, the hairs in our nose, gets to the olfactory, and so it's like you get the front and the back right here. It sends a signal. It actually gets into our brain. So if you're smelling a synthetic or a chemical-based fragrance, what are you doing to your body? It's really something to consider and think about. So with an essential oil, I know that there are no bad side effects. And when you place an essential oil on your skin, the first thing that you're ever going to do is you're going to make sure that you don't have skin sensitivity. Yes, you can have skin sensitivity. You can put it on your skin, but make sure that you don't have a skin that's going to be sensitive to it. How do you know? Well, you're going to either, it's going to feel very warm, or like you're going to have like a little rash. Okay, that's skin sensitivity, not an allergy. An allergy is where you all of a sudden, you're so bad that you either break out in hives everywhere, or you are, your throat starts swelling. Those are an allergy reaction, okay? And so you want to really know what the difference is between an actual allergy and a sensitivity. If your skin is sensitive to an essential oil, now most essential oils will tell you whether or not to apply on your skin. With doTERRA, okay, it will, there is a chart that we have that will tell you if you can use it neat, meaning that you don't have to dilute it. What does dilution mean? You can use a carrier oil like sweet almond oil, fractionated coconut oil, olive oil, all of those. Now, I like fractionated coconut oil, but not everybody can have coconut oil. But you want a molecule that's small enough that soaks into your skin quickly, and fractionated coconut oil does that. And when you dilute it, you're not diluting the result of the essential oil. All you're doing is helping that essential oil unsensitize the skin. Don't use water because water is a driver, okay? You want to make sure that if you get it in your eyes, don't use water because water is a driver. I know that's the first thing we've already been taught. Flush the eyes, especially coming from the dental world. You know, when the first thing is go flush the eyes. But we don't want to do that. Okay, unless you really want to get it deeper in, then you can use the water. I love it when you put something on a kid's back and they're like running down the hall and you can swipe their back and then they're like, oh, I'm going to go wash it off. And it's like, too late. Essential oils soak into your skin within 30 seconds, flat out. They're within every single cell within 20 minutes, which is amazing in the first place. Because when I first heard that, I was like, wait, what? How does that happen? There's a lot out there that you can research and understand more about essential oils and how they really work with the body. The third way of using the essential oil is internal consumption. Everybody has their own view of that. And if you want to use them internally, that's your choice. I use very little internally unless it's already pre-mixed by doTERRA, because then I know that it's done in a safe way. Plus, if it's an internal consumption essential oil, it means that it has met the GRAS standard, generally regarded as safe, GRAS, by the FDA, that we can internalize it. But 1 drop goes a long way. You don't need to use 8, 10 drops. Only 1 or 2 drops is pretty much what you're going to use, okay? Unless you are making a blend of your own, then you may want to use more than just a couple of drops. So if you're doing a recipe, then that may call for more because you're making a bigger amount, right? So let's talk about this DigestZen. So we know that we can use essential oils aromatically, topical, and internal. But DigestZen, and excuse me, I got a frog in my throat this morning. So what I heard over the weekend was someone that said, that she had someone come up to her and she was putting them on her skin, and she's like, oh, you shouldn't do that on your skin. You shouldn't apply them to your skin. I'm like, so I asked her, I said, so why did you say that to her? And she's like, well, you can have sensitivity. So that's where I wanted to make sure that you understand and educate you that sensitivity, if you can apply essential oils to your skin, just know whether or not you are sensitive to that oil. So like cinnamon, oregano, those are very hot oils. Clove is another one. You definitely probably want to use a carrier oil with those, unless you apply it to your feet. Typically our feet, they have the largest pores, right? And so the largest pores it gets to where it needs to go in the body very quickly, and it only takes 30 seconds, even if you put it on your feet. And I can tell you a story about that. But I actually had someone do that to a toddler who had a pacifier. And we put peppermint on the bottom of his feet. And 30 seconds later, we took the pacifier out of his mouth, which I expected them to take the pacifier and go around the table with the pacifier. But no, they took the kid and passed him around the table. He liked that. That was pretty cool. And they were all amazed at how his breath smelled like peppermint. So it only takes 30 seconds for that to happen. And so the other thing about that is to apply it to your feet. It's the biggest pores and the least amount of sensitivity or no sensitivity at all if you do not want to dilute it. Okay? So that was like, well, that's just education, and everybody should know if you're sensitive or not. And then the other thing is I have a new puppy, meet Wiley. So he's okay going on trips with us in the car or in the truck. But yesterday, for whatever reason, he threw up. And I don't know why. And it's not like he was watching the road. He was just laying there, sleeping. And then it was, I got to throw up. Here's where I like being prepared. Don't know why. So this is what I put on him. This is doTERRA DigestZen. But what's nice about it, it's in a roller. There's the roller ball. Okay. So all I have to do is put a little bit on my finger and then put it on his tummy. And because he's small and he only weighs maybe about 5-6 pounds, so I don't need very much. But it's already, this one, since it's the touch oil, is already pre-mixed with a carrier oil, and it's mixed with fractionated coconut oil. So I don't know why he threw up, but you know what? He threw up a little bit more later, but then after that he was done. He was fine for the rest of the day. And this is where I like being prepared. What will you have that is super easy for you to have, but what else is it good for besides digestive issues? And I'll talk about that, but first I want to tell you all the different ways that this particular product comes in. First off, you can get just the essential oil, and you can use this neat, which means that you can use it just by itself. You don't have to mix it. But when it's mixed like this, it becomes it's better for us to use on our pets and on our children, especially small children, because it has the fractionated coconut oil in there. Now, the next step that it comes in, and let's first talk about the different oils that's in there. So there's several different oils. There is coriander. Coriander is in there. We have fennel in there. So this is fennel. If you like the licorice or like the smell of licorice, you're going to love this product because fennel's in there and you really smell it. It's the least amount in there. Whoops. My dog just backed up and fell off the chair. That's not a good thing. He's paying attention to a cat. So fennel is your licorice flavoring. Then there's ginger. Ginger is in there as well. And then there's a couple other ones. There is the coriander is in there, and then we also have anise and tarragon. So all of those oils in themselves are good for digestive issues. Whether we just put it on our tummy, and you want to go clockwise, there's a reason for that. So if we're applying it just simply topical application, just put it on your tummy. So if I ate something that did not agree with me, I just simply put it on my tummy. But the other thing that's really nice is doTERRA created a digest tab, and that's what this is. And so that digest tab looks like this. So if you're familiar with Tums, this is the alternative to Tums. All natural, no chemicals, no synthetics, no nothing. And it works very quickly. When this product first came out, my husband and I were driving back home from our convention when this came out, and he is not good with lettuce, and we stopped by Subway to eat lunch, and right away he knew that he should not have put lettuce on that sandwich because he had some issues. So he took 2 of these, chewed them up, and within 10 minutes he was fine and we could continue down the road. That was awesome for us because I don't know anybody that even gets that quickly, relief that quickly from Tums. And I also know that there's no synthetic things in there. There's no chemicals been added to anything. And this is really super cheap. You get 100 tablets, and at retail it's $19, but on a wholesale, you only get, it's only $14. So 100 tablets for $14, oh my gosh, that's totally doable, right? And you don't, 1 is enough, unless you really feel you need 2. Then you have the DigestZen in a soft gel. And I don't have these open, so I'll open them and show you what this looks like. Because some of us don't want to go around smelling like an oil. You know, especially licorice maybe, you don't want to go smell like that. So what they did is took the oil and they put it in a soft gel like this. So it's very convenient for us to carry around with us, especially as women in our purse, and I can still smell fennel. I open this jar up and I go, But there's like 5 drops of essential oil in a soft gel. Okay, another way of making convenience. And this is inexpensive. You get 60 soft gels. Retail is $26, wholesale is $19.50. Now, when I talk about wholesale, I mean those that have a wholesale account, because you can have a customer account where you buy all your product at wholesale pricing. No questions asked, no commitments, no nothing. I like that because I did not want to commit in the first place. When I started this, I'm like, it took me 9 months to decide that I wanted to do this as a business. But I realized that I had an opportunity to help other people. And if I was talking to people anyways, like, oh, what? Well, it won't hurt to make a couple dollars, you know, especially if I'm going to talk to them about it, right? Because you'll find yourself doing that when you start learning more about the essential oils. What do we do naturally? We have positive experience with something, or we know that down the street at the supermarket there's this great sale. What do? We talk to people. So that's what this is all about. Just sharing what we know, because we have things that can be very helpful for people. So now, what are the uses of DigestZen? So to its namesake, we already know that it's for digestive issues, whether it's an upset tummy, whether we went out to eat and we feel bloated, whether we feel like we have food poisoning. It's, you know, that nausea feeling, anything indigestive. But it's also good for acid reflux. It's also good, you know, for that sore throat, because we have peppermint in there and we have ginger. It's also good for, like, when you're traveling and you have motion sickness. How many of you have, you know, kids or maybe yourself that get motion sickness if you do something in the car? That was me growing up. My brother was like, let's play this game, let's play that game. It's like, no, I don't want to, because it makes me feel ill. I didn't like traveling in the car. I mean, I like traveling in the car, but I couldn't read, I couldn't participate in things. I had to be looking where we were going, or else they just didn't agree with me. So motion sickness, it's really good for that. Where would you place it for motion sickness? Behind the ears, right here, right behind that ear, motion sickness, okay? Or right on the inside of the ear. Take some on your finger and put it right on the inside of the ear. Never put it down the canal. Put it right on the inside of the ear. You have a reflex point there too. But those are the best place to do it. So we already know that we can take a digest tab, we can take one of the soft gels, we can rub the DigestZen oil on our bellies for instant relief, or the bottom of our feet. But for motion sickness, we would want to put it here. Now, if you don't want to smell like the oil, don't put it behind your ear. Put it on the bottom of your feet. It will still get to where it goes, where it needs to go. It will still help you. And the other thing is, when you're doing this, you simply can take the lid off the bottle and smell. That will trigger our senses, and it will help in calming down what we're feeling, that motion sickness, that digestive upset, whatever is going on. So if we're constipated, if we're the other side of the scale and we have a diarrhea going on, this is a product that can help you with that. But what is really cool about essential oils is they have an ability to help the body in healing itself. So the body is supposed to be able to heal itself, right? But it has a hard time doing that. So if you are someone that has a consistent problem with, like, let's say Crohn's disease or irritable bowel disease, any of those things, how do you help your body create what it needs in order to heal itself, instead of taking all these medications for the rest of your life? Now, diet is super important for some of those, okay? You've got to clean up your diet. What are you eating, right? That's the first thing to think about. Second thing is, what can I add to that equation to help me? And DigestZen is one of those. But now we're going to go in, I'm going to tell you something that you may not even, you kind of go, wait, what? So DigestZen, I've heard testimonies more than once for pink eye. Okay, so now what does a digestive essential oil blend have to do with pink eye? You don't put it in the eye, you put it around the eye. All essential oils have the ability to do positive effects to the body. So as long as you are adding an essential oil, whether it is a digestive blend or any other oil, it can have positive effects. So the first time I ever heard that, it was like, well, that was all they had, and so that's what they used. And it was like, oh my goodness. So then somebody that I knew years later, hey, I have a rabbit with pink eye. And I was like, hey, try DigestZen around the eye. And it's like, so she did. Guess what? It worked. It was like, ow. So if we are able to use an essential oil, now we're using quality essential oils. There are many, many, many different essential oils on the market today that are not what you think they are. Just because the bottle says 100% pure, does not mean or guarantee that everything in that bottle that you're getting is the essential oil. It does, however, may contain, most of them anymore, contain a filler, which is like a carrier oil or other oils that mimic what an essential oil does, and it's super hard on a graph to even identify it. So I do trust the doTERRA essential oil because I do know that that CPTG means something. And I'm not going to even, I do not want to use something that may contain contaminants or toxins to me, my children, or my pets. That's super important for me. And, you know, doTERRA became the largest essential oil company in the world for a reason. and it has a lot to do with that CPTG. So when you are using an essential oil, trust the source that it comes from. And just because it's cheap doesn't mean that that's better, okay? A lot of times you get what you pay for. Now, doTERRA essential oils are so potent that 1 drop of peppermint can give you the equality of 28 cups of tea. That's just 1 drop. And if I'm using it for cooking purposes, I'm only using the dip of a toothpick most of the time. Unless I'm really using something that I really want that flavor, then I'm going to use more. I'm going to use a full drop first and decide if I need more. Because you can take away, you can't take away, but you can put it in, right? So when you think about what you're picking up, so like with DigestZen in itself, not only is it usable for those digestive issues, we can also use it for sinus congestion because it contains peppermint in there. Peppermint is good for congestion. We also can use it for that cough because of peppermint. You can put it right here on the glands. If it has anything to do with the throat, just put it right here, right over the throat, right over these glands. And you can also put it in water and chase it that way with water, juice. You can put it in a smoothie. If that's the oil of your choice and you love it, then put it in a smoothie. Many different ways of using it. But let's look at this at an emotional side too, because we have to remember that a lot of us have emotions that are locked up inside of us. And so with that, what are we doing to create better emotional response? So DigestZen in itself, we already know that's the oil of digestion, but for negative emotions such as loss of appetite for food or life, okay, both, the inability to assimilate new information or experiences, or overstimulated, okay? So when you think about that, what do you do to bring those positive emotions? So the positive emotion that's going to bring out is enthusiasm, nourished, interested, assimilating new information and events. So if that is the oil that you're super drawn to, then think about the positive emotions in your life that contain to the emotions of that particular oil. Whether it's DigestZen, whether it's peppermint, whether it's cinnamon, whether it's coriander, no matter what the essential oil, look at the emotional side of that oil. And I'd be willing to bet if it's an oil that you just absolutely love, it has something to do with an emotional response and something in your life. However, if you look at an essential oil and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't stand that smell, okay, it triggers a negative response emotionally. So that's another thing to start looking at is if it triggers that emotional response because I don't like it, why? That's super important too. And, you know, I used to, you know, I love candles, love party light candles, and I love the smell of roses, but I never liked anything with rose in it until doTERRA. And doTERRA rose essential oil is like, oh my gosh, the first time I ever tried that, because I was like, well, I'm not so keen about rose in itself because so much of it's synthetic, that when I smelled the doTERRA rose, it was like, oh my gosh, this is like, I love this. And if you guys aren't so sure about rose essential oil, get the rose, there's a rose touch, but get the rose lotion that helps the Healing Hands Foundation. You decide you don't like it, give it to somebody because it's like $20 for the tube, a 4 ounce or 4.4 ounce tube. And I'll tell you, you are going to love that lotion. And I love it, but it still gives to our Healing Hands Foundation through doTERRA and helping others somewhere else. And all proceeds go to that. So I hope this kind of gives you a better understanding that just because we have an essential oil that is meant for something else doesn't mean that we can't use it for other purposes. Because the body knows what to do with essential oils because they are plant-based products. When our body is supposed to take in food, right? So if we look at that as a food source, but they're highly concentrated and up to 70 times more than what an herb is. So when you think about that, remember that one drop goes a long way. And I really hope that if you ever have questions, I put in the chat my email address. I'd love to hear from you. And if anybody's got ever anything to add to it, I would love to hear that too. All of these are always put on YouTube. So if you want the recordings, if you text the word Heavens Oil, that's HEAVENS OIL, and you use the @ sign, so @ Heavens Oil, and I'll put that in here. You can actually get the live and replay links. Otherwise, you can find me on YouTube, and that I have many recordings on there that you can learn more about other essential oils and products. So I love what I do. I love sharing what I know, and I like being proactive because I'll tell you, it's very rewarding when you have something that you can use on someone or for someone and help them and not feel helpless. And that's part of what this is. The other part of this is a lifestyle change into learning how to better help your body in its ability to change and its ability to heal and its ability to help you feel better. So again, thank you for joining me today. And in no way is this to treat, cure, diagnose anything for those that might be listening to this that are like with the FDA or anybody else, because this isn't what this is about. What this is about is giving you information. You decide what you like to do with what you learn. And I'm always there for anybody for support in any way that looks like. And I hope you got something out of this today. So again, thank you for joining me, and especially for those that are listening to the replay. And you guys have a lovely day. And don't forget to send me a text or send me an email, those of you that do know me, and ask the questions if you have more questions. I'm always here for you. So you guys have a wonderful day, and thanks for joining me again, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.